Welcome to Rezilion, self-healing systems. Less than 10 years ago, software development used the waterfall methodology for developing software. Developers, architects, infrastructure, and security teams would all get together once a year to plan out a single release. Over the past 10 years, development teams have embraced the agile DevOps methodology. Now you have applications that can change on a daily basis. DevOps is fast, self-healing, automated. Nodes and codes can grow really quickly thanks to cloud workloads. The one common denominator that hasn't changed is the fact that security tasks are primarily manual still. And so we see friction between DevOps and security teams. DevOps is fast, self-healing, automated, yet security teams are slow, manual, unscalable. Machine learning, AI, heuristics are great, but they still require human intervention, which makes the process slow. DevOps teams want to push code rapidly. Security teams want a secure application, and thus enters Rezilion. We focus on solving three primary problems. Security and DevOps teams are overwhelmed by the amount of vulnerabilities that have to be patched. This is because of the fact that code can change dynamically. DevOps teams can use open source and third-party packages. And even though they may use only a very small portion of the package, with it comes all of the vulnerabilities, and it's very hard for security to know which ones need to be patched and which ones don't, so they patch them all. On top of that, because it's hard to patch everything, applications tend to run in production with known vulnerabilities unpatched, as well as the risk of zero-day vulnerabilities. Rezilion focuses on providing compensating controls. And finally, existing runtime security tools were great in a static code environment. But in a dynamically changing code environment, you get a tremendously large amount of false alerts, and it requires a significant amount of personnel to run and set policies, whitelist, tune, etc. Rezilion solves this problem two ways. First, we have the ability to tell you which files loaded into memory from the OS level on up and which files did not. We can take your vulnerability scanner that produces a scan of vulnerabilities that you need to patch and tell you of those vulnerabilities, which ones loaded into memory and need to be patched and those that didn't are not exploitable. Imagine reducing 100% of your risk mitigation on only half the effort. Rezilion can provide that to you, as our studies have shown that on average, less than 50% of the files in an application actually load into memory. The second component of our solution is desired state enforcement. Our solution sits in the CI/CD pipeline, and as developers are pushing code into production, we have the ability to autonomously create a deterministic blueprint of what the code should do as it's running. We then have an agent or an agentless solution that actually watches the code running in production. If we see it doing anything outside of what the desired intent of the developer created it to do, we can throw an alert, or we can trigger an autonomous mitigation event using your own IT orchestration tools. One example of a mitigation event might be triggering your tools to restore the instance back to its last known good state, keeping the application up but stopping the threat. As a recap, our value prop is number one, we're turnkey and autonomous. No policy or rule setting, no tuning, no manual response, and it works immediately out of the box. Deterministic. Imagine not having any more false positives in your application. Realistic ROI. If you use our vulnerability prioritization component of our tool, we can show you an instant ROI, as we can reduce the cost of patching by as much as 50% of what you're spending today. Transparent. We leverage your own tools to build resilience into the infrastructure. And easy to deploy. SaaS backend, CPU footprint capped to 3% on our agent. If you have any questions or you'd like to learn how we do what we do, please contact me via email or go to www.rezilion.com and ask for more information. Thank you for listening and have a great day.